Let's move on now to the Carolina Panthers in our training camp preview series. But before we do that, if you have not already, hit that subscribe button. Also ring the bell to get notified when more Panthers content gets created by the Tracy Take. We have a lot more material coming out with every other team in the NFL in this training camp series, and also future Panthers content, including the preseason and also weekly prediction videos of all the Panthers games coming the regular season. So if you want to get notified of those videos immediately, be sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell. It's the easiest way to help us reach our goal of 3,000 and for you to see those videos. And Ryan, Panthers are coming in. It is a new chapter, brand new chapter in this, I would say, young franchise life, so to say, with Frank Reich coming as new coach, new face of franchise of Bryce Young, first overall pick. They traded up and go get him, as we all know. And that, to me, when it comes to the training camp, I think that's probably just the big elephant in the room of the story is how is Bryce Young going to do, especially because one of the main concerns was just his overall size. Is that going to be an issue? I'm on the side where I don't think it will be, because he's had to deal with that size throughout every stage of his football career. So I think he's just going to be watching how Bryce Young develops. It's going to be the size thing. He's got a big group of veteran receivers that's around him. Well, big also just compared to him, but also just very experienced, and Adam Thielen. And you also have DJ Chark. You got Miles Sanders in the backfield as well. You got Terrace Marshall, who I think is actually an underrated receiver, I think, for the Panthers. He just hasn't gotten too much really recognition because he hasn't really had a quarterback throw the ball. And DJ Moore's been the only other guy essentially there. So very curious to see how he.
They drafted Jonathan Mingo as well. Kind of the big power slot guy. So, I mean, he has all the tools to tools as in, I mean, players around him to have a successful rookie season. I think it's just going to be how fast can he pick it up? How well do him and Frank Reich kind of assimilate together? And I understand that he's dealt with that size his whole life, right? And at every level. But at each time you take a step up in competition, I feel like there's just an adjustment period that you kind of have to go through to figure things out at that size. There was that one video of him taking snaps at OTAs. He looked like a middle school child out there. Like he looked very small. So that is a little bit of a concern. Granted, I guess when you watched him on tape, that was like the only thing that you could really pick apart was like, well, he's like 6 inches shorter than everybody. But again, that's just something he'll have to deal with and kind of adjust. But again, he has all of the pieces, I think, to have a really successful rookie season. Frank Reich has dealt with younger rookie quarterbacks before, the main one being Carson Wentz when he came in and in his second year was playing at an MVP caliber before he tore his ACL. So,
well, and I think that's the stories of what I've heard with Bryce Young is it's just his knowledge, his football IQ is just off the charts. It's absolutely off the charts. And if these stories come out of Alabama where he comes in Monday morning to the first team meeting of who they are playing, and he already says, hey, coach, this game plan won't work, but this one will based off this defense. If I've heard multiple sources of those stories, watched other videos as well. And it's like, if that's the case, that's what scares me as the Falcons fan. That's what scares me is that he's just going to be able to pick apart our defense just even before the play starts. And if you go and look at the great quarterbacks, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, it's like they can just see the defense and it's like, yeah, I know what you're going to do. And then it's like, hey, you do a hot route to this open area. And if he get the ball out early, then it doesn't really matter too much on his size because he's going to be able to outsmart you and just outplay you. And so that's what concerns me as Falcons defense. I also think, too, as well, when it comes to the type of offenses that Frank Reich likes to run, they can seem to be a little bit more of a complex offense. So having a guy of like Bryce Young's IQ, I think that also helps out a lot as well in his development.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that. One of the things, too, that I find interesting, like Drew Brees was 6 feet tall. I know Bryce Young is a little bit shorter than that, but like Drew Brees played bigger than he was. Like if you actually looked at and broke down their throwing mechanics, Drew Brees would throw at the same height that Tom Brady and Peyton Manning were throwing at. It's just Drew Brees was throwing here, like above his head, whereas Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, the ball was coming out like at their head or maybe like right above it. And Drew Brees was like full arm extension up. And Bryce Young has a little bit of that to his game. And then the last thing I'll say about Bryce Young is there were situations in college where he actually did use his size to his advantage in some ways. Like there were sometimes guys would try to tackle him and he would just be small enough and just barely ever so slightly elusive enough that he could like just kind of get away by like almost, I don't say shrinking, but just using his small size to like get up and under an arm or like do something where he's just actually just doing a really subtle movement. He's just using his size to his advantage. Yeah. So I think that's something to watch. He had really good pocket movement in college. So I think that'll be a really interesting story to watch. And then the next one that we wanted to talk about was the new running back edition, Miles Sanders. So Deontay Foreman and I believe – oh, no, never mind. I'm thinking
Chuba Hubbard's still on the team.
Chuba Hubbard's still there. But Deontay Foreman left. That is going to leave a very large gap in the carries that are going to be available for the taking. And Miles Sanders is a really interesting running back because he had a really effective year in Philadelphia, but he also was running behind that Philadelphia offensive line, and all the other running backs had a really effective year last year. So it's going to be really interesting to me to see how well can he operate in a more average offense, right? He's probably going to be a little bit more of a focal point in the running game with a rookie quarterback. And so to me, I just think that's going to be really interesting to watch how he's incorporated. They're getting him outside and running routes maybe a little bit more. Are they running more set like zone plays, running power? It'll just be really interesting to watch it as training camp develops and see what his role is going to be.
Yeah. Well, especially too, because he can really do it all. He can run in between tackles. He can catch out of the backfield. He can stretch defenses. And you pair him up with Bryce Young and even everything that we talked about with Bryce Young's strengths and then some of his weaknesses. I think that they pair up so well together. And so if Frank Reich can get the right combination and get the right formations to put them in the best opportunities to succeed, I can see Miles Sanders having a year this year. And so the offensive line, he is downgrading a little bit in the overall offensive line, but he would be downgrading in nearly every single team that he was on to. And so, but the Panthers did show improvement overall. Taylor Moton is still one of the top tackles in the league. And as they keep kind of adding and just improving, hopefully that offensive line can just stay average and create holes and protect both Miles Sanders and Bryce Young. So to me, those are the two main stories that I'm looking at as the Panthers enter into the training camp, because to me, those are the two main threats, I think, for this team. The Panthers do have a good defense, but nothing.
There's not a whole lot of change.
That's right. I don't want to say. I mean, because there's always change, and I'm trying to think on the top of my head. They did get Von Bell.
And I think they also have a new defensive coordinator.
Let me double check.
Oh no, they're switching from their base scheme from a 4-3 to a 3-4.
Okay,
that's what was going on with that. So
they did also add Shai Tuttle as well. So they did actually add a little bit more. Oh, and Xavier Woods as well from Minnesota. Oh, maybe they did.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, no. So this Panthers team could be pretty good.
Yeah. But no, and so like that defense was good last year. And actually was probably part of the reason why they were in a lot of the games that they were in. But
it was the reason why they were in a lot of games.
Yeah. And so it'll be interesting to see if this offense can pick up the slack, how good this team can be. I still think the Falcons are probably maybe a step ahead on paper. But again, that's on paper, so we'll have to see kind of how that plays out when the season actually begins.
Well, it'll be really fun to watch because these games are going to be fun because the Falcons' strengths are the Panthers' strengths and the Panthers' weaknesses are the Falcons' weaknesses. Last year, at least. Panthers' offense was not good. Falcons' defense was not good. If there was a strength for the Falcons, it was the running game and the offense, and like they could control the game from there. And that's also the Panthers' strength is their front seven. So, and they also have good secondary too with J.C. Horn. As well. Well, Jason Horn leading the way. Now they have Von Bell as well and Xavier Woods. So these are the two teams that I would bet on for them to win the NFC South. I'm not too concerned with the Saints. They splashed a lot of money on Derek Carr. I think that was a waste. And Tampa Bay is going to win 4 games this year, maybe.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay's in a little bit of shambles, but
yeah.
Let's go ahead and wrap up the Carolina Panthers training camp preview there. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and leave a comment down below on what you think the Carolina Panthers are going to do in 2023. You think Bryce Young is going to be the greatest rookie quarterback of all time? You think they're still going to struggle offensively and it's going to take some time for them to get the ball rolling with the offense? Let us know down below. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.